Okay, guys, this video is all about nutrition whilst we travel for work, okay, and how we eat for fat loss in those situations. All right, no fluff, just the foundations. If you're starting out and you want a place to start, this is what you should focus on and not focus on. All right, let's get into it. So, the reality is, when we travel for work, our food is the first thing to feel out of control. Okay, our food is the first thing that is hard to stay consistent with and feel like we're doing the right things because we're always on the road, in airports, having to buy stuff, okay, that we can't necessarily control what's in it. Hotels, we're out with clients, colleagues at dinners, late nights, maybe drinks. Yeah. So men either stop caring because, if I can't control it perfectly, what's the point in trying? Well, I'm wasting energy doing something that isn't going to work. Or you try and be perfect. And trying to be perfect in a situation when you can't. I've spoken to hundreds of men about this, and you burn out. Okay. If you're trying to do something that isn't perfectly possible, then it's demoralizing and you just can't keep it up. And you have to remember that it's not because you don't have willpower. You don't have enough willpower. Okay. It's just because you don't have a plan. You don't have a plan that works. Okay. You don't have some clear boxes that need ticking on a daily basis. Okay. So let's dive into it. So why nutrition needs a simpler approach. All right. It just needs to be simpler because we cannot be any more detailed. Yeah, we can't weigh our food. We can't track perfectly. We can't cook all our meals. So instead of perfection, we just need to aim for what is possible. A simple structure and awareness. Awareness of what we're putting in our body, roughly what it contains and how that will benefit us, but also a structure we can just replicate as close to the T, as close to it as we can, regularly and consistently. Okay, because nutrition on the road is about damage control, not optimization. We can take steps forward, but it's important that we focus on not trying to do anything special, not optimizing maximally. We're just trying to limit the stages, the occasions, the moments where we go backwards, because that's usually probably what is happening right now. All right. So it's important that we do that. The foundation and what actually matters is these three simple things. Okay. Protein, calories, and consistency. All right. We cannot be perfect. So there is no point in obsessing over trying to be perfect. We simply want to focus on getting enough protein, getting a decent amount, because we don't know if we've got enough, right? We can't track it all the time. Calories, getting them in a ballpark area where it will drive fat loss, and just being consistent. A lot of guys will try something for a few days, maybe a week tops, and when they don't see any difference, they give up. There's no point in sacrificing that McDonald's in the service station, sacrificing that nice meal in the airport, because I haven't seen any progress this week. Consistency is more than a week. Okay. Everything else after this is secondary at the start. Okay. I want to caveat that. These are the foundations to get started whilst you travel for work, to get the needle moving, to see some progress. We can obviously elevate these, and there's many reasons how we do this inside the program, that we can get more accurate and more accurate still without tracking. All right. But what to focus on right now to start moving that needle? Aim to get protein in every meal. Protein is the most filling macronutrient out there, and it also burns more calories, the body just digesting it. So we want to get protein at every meal, every snack, whatever that looks like. Greek yogurt, protein shakes, great snack options. Eggs, fish, white fish, lean fish like tuna, meat, lean meat, chicken breast, turkey, leaner cuts of beef, steak. This keeps our hunger under control. Okay, it keeps our hunger under control, as well as many other benefits like helping our body recover from the travel, our muscles recover from the training that we're doing. All right, calories is the next thing, and we don't need to focus on an exact number. All right. We just need to focus on regular calories. Okay. And try and maintain consistency with that. So focusing on 2, maybe 3 consistent meals of around similar calories. Okay. Fewer mindless snacking. It's very easy, especially when we're on the go. All right. We are surrounded by opportunities to pick something up and just satisfy that craving. All right. So we want fewer moments of mindless snacking. We need to be more aware and keep things like liquid calories as low as we can. Sugary drinks, alcohol, oils, sauces, these kind of things, because the calories ramp up. And we never really know how many calories are in them. And likelihood is there's a lot more in them than you think. So just keeping them to a minimum is going to remove a chunk of calories already and likely start moving that needle. All right. And in terms of our meals, we want to have some good anchor meals in mind when we're traveling. All right. So if we're away in a hotel, we want to be kind of just having something tasty that we enjoy, but we know roughly what's in it. It has a decent amount of protein, a moderate amount of calories. And we want to rinse and repeat. That's making it as easy for yourself to go about your day, keeping your consumption at a similar level and not really having to think about it. But knowing if you continue to do it, then you will maintain your deficit and keep losing body fat. All right. And if you go a bit over at some point during the day, then you're just going to be up around your maintenance. It's not going to be the end of the world. All right. Similar lunches. And then dinners where we can have a bit more flexibility, but also try and stay within a portion of volume, a visual volume. Okay. But these are good tools. Similarity, consistency with our meal sizes as much as we can will help us gauge whether we're in and around our calorie target without having to track a single thing. All right. And awareness comes with time in this regarding that. Okay. How to implement this on travel days then? This is absolute gold. Okay. So make a note of this and give it a go when you're next on your travel day, whatever that looks like. All right. Don't save calories all day. For a lot of men who just try and avoid everything, and then at the end in the hotel when they arrive in the evening or when they get home after a long day on the road, it's binge town. All right. It's binge town and they go crazy, no control. All right. Eat something similar, even if it's small. Okay. Even if it's small, we want to eat something earlier. Eat something earlier. We don't want to go into a situation where we are very, very hungry. All right. Little things as well, like just walking more than you think you need to. Yeah. Because that inevitably burns more calories and will give us that little bit of an extra buffer if we do happen to go a little bit overboard. Or it provides us with a buffer if we then another day, a following day, another day in that week, then we do go over a little bit. All right. But we also need to, and I want to caveat that, we also need to find what works for us. Okay. And this is important because there's loads of different methods: fasting, low carb, regular, just like consistent small feedings. There's a million and one ways, right? But you need to find the way that works for you. You need to find the way that works for you. And that looks like committing to it for a week, for a work trip, whatever period of time, but like a decent chunk, and commit to it with everything you've got. And if it doesn't feel right, if you're struggling, try something different, because you might get on with a different method to somebody else. And that's important. And that's what we attempt to do. And we do inside the program, is finding what works for an individual. Okay. Whether that is to just focus on protein in the morning and leave our carbs to whatever it looks like, it has to work for you. And a simple travel day structure may be like every meal, we try and center it around a source of protein. We make sure there's a high volume element in there, like fruit, salad, whatever that may look like. And we make sure it's satisfying, because if we're restricting all our favorite foods, restricting all our favorite flavors and seasonings, then we aren't going to last very long, are we? Okay. So we want to include something that we enjoy. So if you can put meals together that hit those 3 boxes, then you should be good. All right. And this is exactly what Richard did. So Richard travels a lot between the UK and Spain. And when he is in the UK, he's also doing shift work. All right. So mornings, late, nights. But he would regularly fly between the UK and Spain. Okay. And still does. And he's dropped 23 kilos by maintaining a meal structure that we found that worked really well for him. Similar breakfast, similar lunches, and he had a bit more freedom with his dinners, but he had a volume limit, okay, which we built over time. And he was very clear on it. And the weight just came off and came off. He was losing a kilogram a week for like 23 weeks. It was insane. And he's completely changed his life. And it's the same with Liam. Liam commutes hours and into and back from London 3 times a week and visits sites all over the UK. All right. And again, he was trying to eat in a way that wasn't working for him. All right. He skipped breakfast and he tried to have something small at lunch, ended up snacking all late morning, and then felt guilty at lunchtime, so had something small, and then restricted all afternoon, and then went absolutely crazy in the evening. And it just didn't work. So after chatting and getting to know his situation more, trying a few different kind of methods, we found what really works for him, and he rinsed and repeated it. Okay. And as we changed things week by week, he dropped 21 kilos. He's just had a new baby girl, his first baby girl, and he's a different human. Okay. It's awesome to see when people have busy schedules, how just the simplest of structures and plans that you can put in place will create awesome transformations. Yeah. So the weekly view, the fat loss isn't won and lost in one meal. Okay. We need to remember these things. Fat loss isn't won or lost in one meal. It's the weekly average that matters. And we need to remember, if we have one crazy night, we're out with clients and we go a little bit overboard, we have that dessert, we have that bottle of wine, we can still claw this back. One night like that a week doesn't mean that you should just give up for the rest of the week. Because if you have that attitude, you will never get to where you want to be. One higher calorie day doesn't ruin your progress. It really doesn't. And quitting the week absolutely does. All right. And all the men that I speak to that come on board and join the program, this is what they've struggled with. Okay. They want to be perfect. They try and be perfect, but it doesn't work. And then it goes out the window and then they give up. So one meal doesn't make you fat. Giving up for the next 5 days absolutely does. All right, my final thoughts. You don't need a meal plan. Okay, you don't need a meal plan. You don't need to be perfect, especially at the start, to move the needle and see some awesome results. You just need those repeatable habits that survive these busy travel moments, airports, hotels, busy weeks, client dinners, whatever that looks like. Okay. Sorry, there's a couple of slides have crept in there that shouldn't be there. However, go away, try this, implement some of these things, try and keep things simple, don't overthink it. All right. And if you would like to book a call and we can talk about your situation, we can talk about it, a 20-minute call, how you would maybe structure it that would best work for you. Talking about what you've tried before to somebody who can look at it from a different set of eyes and in a different angle is usually what can identify moments and ways in which you could try something different that could potentially result in a serious amount of progress. Okay. So if you would like to do that, then hop over to my Instagram and book a call using the link in my bio. 20-minute one-to-one private call. We can go through that and I'll provide you with some actionable steps that you can go forward and try. All right. I hope you found this useful and let me know if you have any questions. Message me on Instagram.